Hello, welcome to Lore Master's Lair. I'm your Lore Master, here today for another God video. We have finished an examination of all elven and dwarven deities we have a full write-up of, so we move on to gnomes. Gnome, singular. Nivi Rhombledazzle, deity of gems, stealth, and gambling. So as always, let's start with where you can find all this information for yourself. As always, we have information in both Gods and Magic books, as well as the recent Divine Mysteries book. As for the full write-up, we will find information in the Gods of Golarion book. It's Faiths of Golarion, I apologize. For Divine Realm, well, Plain Adventures is not going to give us anything. You will see why. Finally, we have side tangents from Bestiary 2 of Starfinder 2e, The Wrath of the Righteous Adventure Path, The Divine Mysteries, and also from Pathfinder 2e, Monster Core. Nivi in life was an avid fan of gambling. However, as well as she did at her hobby, eventually luck runs out, and she found herself in debts too high to simply smile her way out of. So instead she ran deep into the Darklands. While it is unknown what happened next, it is known that she changed, becoming the first Drathnelor. Yep, I'm gonna struggle with that one, but let's talk about that, which starts us off with our first side tangent, the part of the show where I need to look for 20 minutes to remember the name changes for the remasters. Today, the Drathnelor, formerly known as Morph Nevlin, which you would think would be harder to pronounce, but anyway. Also referred to as Deep Gnomes and sometimes Umble Gnomes, though sometimes Umble Gnomes are different things completely. This offshoot of gnomes are those who travel from the first world into the Darklands with several nasty fare. This led to an obsession with protecting themselves and the surface world against these threats and an isolationist attitude. On the one hand, this helps with the bleaching, the never-ending war against many of the Darklands' threats, keeping them forever busy. On the other hand, the lack of sunlight has led to the group becoming ashen in color, and bald for some reason. Nivi appears as a Drathnelor, skin, hair, and clothing gray, though the clothing does have bits of red and is covered in jewelry. The exact details of Nivi's many adventures in Darklands are a mystery, in part played up by Nivi herself, but what is known is that she eventually approached the dwarven god Tureg with the largest, most perfect gemstone to have ever existed. All she wanted for her trade was one thing: her own godhood, which was granted by the dwarven patriarch. Nivi Rhombledazzle's faith tends to be small, with most who would follow her being as devil-may-care as she is. Those most likely to call to her do so in the midst of gambling, wishing either for luck or to get away before the debts come to call. There are two large churches within the faith, the Blue Twilight, which are the Orthodox, which solve most things through chance, and the Cult of the Shining Diamond, less reputable and known to try to convert gnomes to a threat of the bleaching. The priest of Nivi Rhombledazzle holds one duty as the most sacred: to ensure all followers live their lives to the fullest, even if that requires gambling beyond one is responsible. In the Darklands, the priests act as respected advisors to the communities, always trusted to ensure the community's safety overall. Even on the surface, they welcome anyone regardless of ancestry, and are known for setting up orphanages, which teach the children the rules of all games of chance, but at least they understand probability. Considering we are talking on gemstones, let's take a look at side tangent 2, a creature heavily connected to gems, a carbuncle. On our side from South America, these creatures are mostly found in the river kingdoms, though some take them as familiars. Reptilian with a gem horn, many hunt the creature for the valuable gem, only to find that it will crumble to dust when harvested. The shrines of Nivi Rhombledazzle tend to be simple, usually just a place where one can safely roll dice in order to receive portents from the deity. True temples are usually only seen among the Drafnalar, them being simple buildings carved into already standing stones and set up as a fallback point in case of invasion. Nivi's faith, Nivi's divine realm is unique, in that she does not have one. There are claims she once had one, but lost it in some bet. Her affinity of gemstones has made the plane of Earth a home to her, but now she just sets up temporary realms, either on the plane of Earth or sometimes in the material plane, usually being caverns filled with gemstones. Which, let's take a moment to look at our third side tangent, a deity of gemstones who is long dead, Nahindri, demon lord of gemstones. Long ago he tried to enslave another demon lord. The issue was that that demon lord just so happened to be Narticular. He became the first demon lord she assassinated and became a chain of her former now territory. He only remains in the echoes known as the Nahindran crystals, which continue to form in the Midnight Isles. Now, general information to round everything else. Nivi Rhombledazzle's faith embraces any holiday to enjoy themselves and stave off the bleaching, but Nivi's own holiday is the day she ascended. Of course, it is a day of gambling and dice games. And the holy text is the Book of Seven Ragers. This details the most important of Nivi Rhombledazzle's life. And each of these seven ragers teach core tenets of the faith. Finally, relationships, starting with divine allies. Quiet is a Drafnalar rogue who some say was the one Nivi escaped into the Darklands to escape the deaths from. He was apparently paid in immortality and having his eyes replaced by diamonds. Rhombledazzle, spelled with only two vowels, is a massive earth elemental in the shape of a dragon mole of pure diamonds. When summoned, he can shrink to a more manageable size. Finally, Seven Eyes is a sentient dice who serves as Nivi's herald. He grants supernatural luck, but refuses to change the chances of a gamble. As for the gods, no surprise Nivi and Tureg's faith get along, despite the different temperaments of the deities. They also go along swimmingly with the faiths of Cade and Kaelin and Desna, to the point that the faithful will sometimes adopt members of these two faiths. The faithful, however, try to avoid Asmodeus, and his insistence that outstanding gambling debts be paid. Now I finish off with our last side tangent of the day. Why are there no other gnome deities? It's something which has seemed to be lacking for years, but recent lore brings some insight into it. See, when it comes to the Orcish deities, one of the claims to where their powers come from is that when they first came to surface, they came into contact with the gnomes and their deities. This version of the story tells how the orcs hunted down the gnome deities, one by one, taking their powers for themselves while also establishing a practice of taking the godly power through strength and combat. Of course, as far as we know, this is just legend, but the small number of gnome deities is still something of note. And that brings us to the end of this week's video. a quick speed run through the gnome deities since there's only one. But next week, we still have one more location to look at in the Vesperium. So we will be returning to Starfinder. See you then.